Congratulations, Todd Bowley, Clear Lake. You are the proud owners of Charity FC. Chelsea go up 2-0 versus the Wolves and fail to take all 3 points. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour.
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for what is another Chelsea match review, more specifically that tactical information of the match today played at Stamford Bridge versus the Wolves. But before I get into all that, ladies, gentlemen, friends, foes, please do me a big favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification button to keep up with the latest and newest. And of course, gotta let you know about my sponsors. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Just hit them up. The link is in the description. Okay, so Chelsea played host to Wolverhampton Wolves and came away with a 2-2 draw. Goal scorers: Lukaku with a brace, Trincao, and I believe it was Cody that equalized late in the game. In this match review, you're going to be looking at the tactical switch from back 3 to back 4 in this match and why I believe it proved to be costly for Chelsea. We're also going to be looking at Mateo Kovacic as a number 8, a box-to-box number 8, supposedly. And we're going to be looking at Romelu Lukaku, who, of course, was the man of the match today with a brace. Okay, so Chelsea came out and played a 3-5-2 with Christian Pulisic and Kovacic playing as number 8s. Kovacic more of the box-to-box presence, and, of course, Christian Pulisic more of the advanced playmaker, attacking midfielder role. And it was a very, very attacking lineup where obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek is the holding 6, and Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner playing as strikers, flanked by Reece James and Alonso. And it did have yield. We did obviously look to get on the front foot and attack a little bit more, and it did have some yield, but no actual end product. We've seen Lukaku had a couple chances where normally you would think that he would just switch it to his left and bury it, but didn't, took it on his right and couldn't score. We had Timo Werner get in a couple times and just decision making was poor and whatnot. But overall, I think that the shape was actually doing what it was yielding what it was supposed to. Chelsea were on the front foot in control in the match, and for large stretches of the first half had, lots of possession and were creating 1 and 2 opportunities here and there. When we switched to the second half, we did see Alonso come off for Sal Niguez. And I think that this is where the game actually changed for me. Obviously, Tuchel came out in the presser and said that it wasn't necessarily an injury to Alonso. It was a tactical switch to bring on Sal. So you're thinking, what is that? Why are you bringing him on at the half? We're basically going more attacking at this point, because while Alonso isn't necessarily defensively stout, he does provide a little bit more defensive awareness than somebody like Sal Niguez. So you're thinking Chelsea are going much more attacking when you see Sal Niguez come into the game. And, it left us so open to switches. Like every time we got on the counter, or when the Wolves got on the counter, the switches were wide open from the left side of the pitch to the right side of the pitch, and just found acres of space to run into. They were doing that not only in the first half, but I thought that they were having a lot more success with it in the second half when we moved Sal Niguez out to the left flank. And, obviously, with Chelsea going up 2-0, it meant that they had to come out and play a little bit more attacking. So they definitely pushed them a lot more bodies forward. But for me, that shape, the 3-5-2, no longer served a purpose once Chelsea went up 2-0. Felt like Chelsea could have, at that point, went to their more traditional shape of 3-4-3 and made some substitutions to, basically solidify the team a little bit more. Tuchel obviously went the other way and decided to go with a back 4, and I think that that's what led to the demise of the team at this point. We don't often play with a back 4. When you're playing consistently in a back 3 as much as we are, and then mid-match, about the 60, 70-minute mark, you're switching to a back 4. The tendencies that you're looking for in that setup are no longer there. And I understand that he brought on, obviously, Malang Sarr, and when you think about it, there is some reasons towards it. Like, I was thinking about it in the sense of, if we continued with a back 3 and we have Sal Niguez on the pitch, it exposes him on the left flank and, puts a lot of pressure on. But at the same time, we had Rudiger out there, who we often expose, as our left-sided defender, and who we often trust to make the right decisions when we're put under pressure that way. The decision to go to a back 4 to me and bring on Sarr was basically down to the fact that Tuchel did not want to expose Saul on that left flank. So he decided to give him the left midfielder role and bring on Sarr, play a back four. There's lots of noise on Twitter, people talking about if you're taking off Azpilicueta, the natural substitution would have been Chalobah, and I agree with that. Maybe even Christensen, even though his head's halfway in Barcelona right now. If you're looking to keep the shape go like for like, he obviously thought that, we're a little bit too attacking and decided to go to back four. But as soon as you go to a back four, you're now changing, the way we press, we're changing the way we attack. And for guys that have been on the pitch for like 60, 70 minutes playing a certain style and then switching, the tactical switch to a back four at the end of the game, I mean, yes, they're professionals and whatnot, but like, honestly, I really think that sort of switching in the middle of a game like that, where you're in control and there's not really much that you have to worry about, is a bit of a tactical error for me. For me, when you're in a game like that where, it's up and down, Chelsea have most of the possession but are often being caught out on counters, you need to just basically drop the line back and play a little bit more compact. I know we didn't do that because the mentality of that squad, the mentality of the team right now is to be always on the front foot, And, I just don't understand what Chelsea do to defend leads anymore. Like, it's become a real problem. Like, when we get into the latter stages of games, our defensive structure is not there. And, as much as we're putting in tactical switches, the tactical switch is not leading to us being a little bit more solid defensively. It's basically just switching the formation and not getting any yield from it. Obviously, we want to try and kill the game, but at the same time, there's no defensive structure. There's no defensive shape, especially when you switch to that, that 4-3-1-2 kind of shape. For me, that was one of most of the problems, where we had no ability to keep our shape and play with a sitting six, where like Chalobah could have come in and played there, either play as a number three, make up a number three in our back, or play as that sort of like defensive midfielder, just to liberate somebody like Ruben Loftus-Cheek from that role where he isn't necessarily the most sound and solid. And when Chelsea get themselves into winning positions, we don't necessarily have the ability to hold out wins because our defensive structure isn't just not there. We don't have a go-to defensive setup where we say, all right, we're not leaking any goals anymore. This is what we're going to do. We're going to close out the match with this particular shape. And yeah, it's frustrating. You get up 2-0, you're at home, you got the crowd behind you, you got the new owner watching, and you can't seal out the match because of, errors, not only defensively, but individual errors once again. And, I look at Mateo Kovacic as well in this game. Like, Mateo Kovacic, I have a lot of good things to say about this guy as a midfielder. He's given Chelsea probably his best years right now. His best form has probably been in the Chelsea shirt, and you could definitely live with the mistakes that he gives you every now and then. But today he was just tactically unaware, cavalier, way too cavalier for what he offered in the final third. And when he was in his defensive shape, he was basically just allowing for the Wolves to just run off of him and get in the box. And while those most of the opportunities didn't lead to goals, it was like a trend that was continually happening again and again in the match. At least 3 or 4 times in the match you saw where Kovacic's man is just running into the box unabated and getting in behind. And, of course, that's going to disrupt this defense, the defensive structure, and, lead to goals. And, the first goal was a direct reflection of that. You see Kovacic lose his mark. I can't remember who it was that was pairing into the box, but whoever the left side, it might have even been Bowley, to be honest. He's running off of Kovacic, gets into the box. Kovacic is trying to catch up and accidentally knocks Rudiger off, who was tracking Trincao, and the end result is Trincao has a wide open shot just outside the 18, and he buries it, and that's the first goal. And you're hearing a lot of people saying, well, he didn't have a natural sitter in there in Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Ruben Loftus-Cheek had his own problems to contend with, you know what I mean? It wasn't just cleaning up, because when you looked at where Azpilicueta's average shape was in the first half in particular, he was way up the pitch as the right-sided center back, and it forced Ruben to drop in to make up the 3 again. And I'm pretty sure that's why we saw the tactical switch at halftime, where we saw Reece James play right-sided center back and allow for Azpilicueta to just be a little bit more cavalier, because he was doing that naturally anyways. He wasn't really looking to be defensively sound, especially for a team that likes to play on the counter. But when you look at what we saw from Kovacic today, I really just felt like his game just, left us way too exposed. I know we were trying to be on the front foot and attacking, but just left us a little bit too exposed, and in the end, we got punished. If there are a couple bright spots from today's game that I thought, Chelsea could build on, and, as much as there wasn't really much going on in that game that led me to feel like Chelsea are back and we're playing good shape and whatnot, I did feel like Christian Pulisic gave us some good minutes as a number 10 today. I mean, obviously with Christian Pulisic, you still get, the decision making, the indecisiveness in the final third. He's not necessarily always releasing the ball when you want it to be released, and sometimes that leads to opportunities that we could have had just faltering because the ball wasn't released at the right time or the weight of the pass wasn't right. But overall, I still saw the mentality of number 10 with him. I still think that he was playing the balls correctly into the channels to allow for our attackers to run into them when he did actually release it. And these are the types of things we just weren't getting with Mason Mount in that position. Mason Mount has a completely different skill set when he plays in the final third to Christian Pulisic. And I think that, the link between the midfielders and the attackers was much more prevalent today than it was in past games. Having said that, he was wasteful. There was times where Chelsea could have been, breaking 3v2, and, if he would just release the ball a little bit quicker, he would have been able to get on the end of things and score goals. One player that I really do think has a performance that he can build on was Romelu Lukaku. I mean, the much maligned Romelu Lukaku, like everyone has something negative to say about him these days, but, he comes in, I thought his hold-up play, his link-up play was actually really good today. And when he got into the final third, he looked to use his power and his pace to, impact the game. Still a little bit too static, obviously, with the way the Wolves were playing. They're basically set up a 3-5-2. It really didn't give him a lot of room to pull defenders out of shape because, the next defender's maybe 3 meters away. So it's not like movement could have led to more opportunities for him. But the things that I did like about him is that when he did get the ball in and he moved it, he was doing 1-2 touch passes and moving it quickly. And, one of them almost led to a goal where, Pulisic, he lays it off to Pulisic, and then Pulisic, plays in Timo Werner for what looked like the opening goal. Unfortunately, it was called as a foul. I think that Romelu Lukaku recognized he had the beating of the defenders. Nobody could really match his power and strength. And he was able to hold up the ball, pass it off accurately and whatnot. And, not to mention win a penalty with just his determination. That looked like it was going out for, a foul, like a corner or something like that, or, a goal kick. But his determination is what led him to stay on it and win the penalty. Rightfully so, he buries it. And then, right after that, obviously the adrenaline's still pumping. And then not too long after that, he buries another one with a right-footed, laser beam outside the box. And like I've been saying for the longest time, Romelu Lukaku is much, much better when he's running at defenses. That's when you see him at his best, when we can get on the break and, he's running the channel and he has a number 10 or somebody that can provide him with service, who's accurate on deliveries and whatnot. And, today he could have had a hat trick today easily, if some of the deliveries were a little bit better and, if people understood what his preferred foot is. Obviously, it's his left. He scored a banger with his right, but obviously it's his left, and you want to see, the moves being fashioned to, basically get him on his left foot to score goals. But again, I think that he has something to prove and something to build on now. He has a lot to prove to the manager, a lot to prove to the supporters, and to the new ownership as well. And I think that he's off to a good start this game. I really do feel like he offered some good minutes and gave us what we needed in that position. Maybe not with the pressing, maybe not with the defensive shape and the willingness to try and defend leads, but everything else what you want from a striker. I thought he was actually really good today. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Chelsea go up 2-0 at home and fail to see it out. And man, tired of pointing fingers. I don't want to point fingers anymore. We just got to get this right. We really got to turn this around. This is not Chelsea. Chelsea know how to see out wins. This is the hallmark of this club. We never used to concede goals, late goals to drop points and stuff like that. That was not what Chelsea do. Chelsea usually know how to see out matches. And really what it comes down to is just grit, determination, and shape, defensive shape, which seems to be void right now. We got punished for 2, but we could have been punished for 4 or 5 today. 4 or 5 easily. If it wasn't for the heroics of Mendy a couple times and obviously Thiago Silva a couple times and whatnot, we could have been royally punished with the errors we made in our defensive shape and our defensive structure. And it just seems like right now we're just not really taking much consideration to defending properly, building from the back properly, and getting on the front foot. Like today was just way too cavalier for me. We were playing a system that obviously got us on the front foot and had us in possession for large chunks of the game, but for the sacrifice of defensive structure. And again, we scored 2 goals. And when you think it's time to shut up shop, we're still looking to score more goals, and leaving ourselves wide open at the back. At this point, I want to see Chelsea at least show me that they can play some sort of defensive structure, defensive shape when they're trying to see out matches. And, we haven't seen that since, late last year, maybe in the Champions League, late last year, under Thomas Tuchel, where our defensive structure was much more compact and solid. Right now, it's just way too open. We're leaving gaps of space for teams to hit us on the switches. We're leaving gaps of space for them to just overload the middle areas of the pitch and run us over. And this is not good. We're going into a period now where we have to start stringing together some wins, obviously. We want the FA Cup, that's on the weekend. We have Leeds in the midweek. And if, you want to go into that match, both matches feeling good about your football. I think Chelsea offensively could feel good about their football, but overall, the shape of the team is off, and we need to address that quickly because that Liverpool game of the weekend is going to be important, and just for the sake of top 4, we have to put that together sooner rather than later. But fellas, we got a new owner now too, Bully's in the house, man. What do you guys think about that? How are you guys feeling about that? I'm not really that surprised. Knew it was going to happen. I really did have some trepidation just about the late bid for Ratcliffe, but in the end, I think the right guy got the job, is owning us right now. He seems really enthusiastic about the club, and his interaction in the game was something to behold. You can tell that he's really dialed in and invested in this, which is something you always want to see. So with that said, we're probably in good hands right now. Let's hope he can kick on, use the summer as an opportunity to address some of the problems we saw on the pitch today, and bring in some quality talent to help Tuchel play the way that he wants to play. But fellas, until then, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high enough to Chelsea. Peace.